welcome back to another video. As you can see behind me, we have two new Toyotas. We've got Alex's brand new Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road, and then we've got my Tundra TRD Off-Road as well, and it's the Limited. So I'm gonna give you guys a little walkthrough of the new truck, the Tundra, and kind of show you guys around it, some of the things that I like a lot, and then some of the more downsides of the truck. Alex just picked this truck up about 2 days ago. It's kind of just like my old one, except this one is white. Congratulations, Alex.
Are you already mic'd up?
Mic'd up, ready to go.
Hey, can they hear me? I gotta talk next to you.
Oh yeah.
This is my new 2023.
Oh.
You know? I don't know if you know about the Tacoma life. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a little bit,
Yeah, I'm kind of new to it, actually.
Yeah, honestly, it's just, it's the better version. Like, it's like, you can go Tacoma, which is like a little bit here. Tundra's like kind of entry level.
Okay, we're done with that. Yeah, we're done with that. But congratulations, Alex. Go check out his page. He's gonna be doing kind of some crazy stuff with his Tacoma here pretty soon. So I've had my Tundra for about close to a month now, and I've kind of found some things that I dislike about this truck and some things that I like. Put about 1,000 miles on it so far, and kind of have a well-rounded idea of the truck and what I'd like to change, and some things that I think Toyota could have improved on a little bit. Within this video, I hope this information is gonna kind of help you decide whether this truck is for you, and to kind of see some of the bigger plans for this build and what I'm planning on doing. So here on my phone, I have some of the negatives, some of the positives, and some of the things to kind of look out for when you're going to pick out your Tundra, and some of the differences between those trim levels. And also, as you can see, this is going to be the iForce Max, which means it is a hybrid vehicle. So this one may be the most obvious negative on this truck, is going to be the chrome grille surround that you see on the front. This comes standard with a lot of the Limiteds, and you don't get this in the SR5 and some of the other trim levels. And I think that not having the option to change this out to, say, a black or a paint matched grille surround is kind of a downside from Toyota. And I think when you opt to get the black TRD wheels or the black emblems, this should also be something that should allow for some customization from the factory. As well as that chrome, you do see that carried throughout the vehicle. You see it on the door handles, the window trim, and you also see it on the bumper covers in the rear of the truck, as well as some of the emblems. The other negative thing about the outside of the truck that I'm not too big a fan of, and I understand why Toyota did it, was kind of the low appearance that this truck creates on the road. It just looks low. The front bumper carries lower than a lot of the other trucks. It kind of makes it seem like it's not going to be the best for off-roading. There are some clips out there of people trying to off-road these trucks stock, and they're ripping their front bumper off just because it does hang so low and kind of messes with that approach angle. Now, the other thing is going to be something that kind of doesn't really make sense to me, and I'm not really sure why Toyota would do this, but when you opt for the TRD off-road package within the Limited trim, you get 20-inch wheels. This is supposed to be an off-road truck or off-road design truck. You think that they would reduce the wheel diameter to allow you a little bit more sidewall to kind of prevent from bending or damaging your wheels when you're off-roading. They did provide some pretty nice tires, but again, 20-inch wheels, what the heck. If you do have a lower trim level, not on a Limited, such as like a SR5, they gave you the 18-inch wheels with the TRD off-road package. Moving on to the rear of the truck, not too big of a fan of the design of the tailgate. They have this kind of weird kick up in the back that makes it look almost like it has a ducktail spoiler if you're driving behind the truck. I do like the quick release option. They have a little button next to the taillight, which is a nice added feature that you can only get on some of the higher trim levels. And the taillights, they look a little weird, I'll be honest. The three-stripe thing, I'm not really understanding where that's coming from. Kind of reminds me of some of the aftermarket taillights you would see that you could get on a Tacoma. Now those are kind of going to be the only things that I'm not too big of a fan of on the outside of the truck. With that, we'll move into the positives on some of the things that I think Toyota did a great job with. Now, I'm a big fan of color options with this truck. I think there's a lot of great options out there. My last Tacoma was a cement gray, which you could not get in the Tundra anymore. But now they have the army green. You can get it in white, you can get it in red. You get it in this magnetic gray, which I like a lot. And you can also get it in a couple other colors as well. I decided to go with this color because it's gonna kind of show less amount of rock chips and scratches, and overall kind of just gives it a more aggressive appearance when you start to modify it, lift it, and change some of the accents on the truck. Another feature that I really like is that Toyota's kind of moving on to with a lot of their trucks is the hexagon pattern inside the grille. It creates a more sporty look, and hexagon is known to have a better airflow characteristic, so it's going to help keep that hybrid system and the engine and powertrain nice and cool. Another kind of unique thing that Toyota did, which I'm a big fan of and I think looks pretty cool, a little bit different from a lot of the other trucks on the market, is going to be the black vinyl that they put on the A-pillar as well as the B-pillar. I think it kind of gives the truck, again, a more sporty look, and it's a cool little design feature that they threw in there just to kind of change the appearance of the truck versus the other ones on the market. The other big thing which you can see in this truck is something new for the 2022 model year for the Tundra, and this new 3rd gen is going to be them offering it in a long bed. Traditionally, the Tundra has only been given a 5.5 foot bed unless you change your cab orientation. This is the Crew Max, which is going to have 2 full-size doors for the front and the rear of the truck. But again, we got the 6.5 foot long bed, which I think is a great option. You're able to get a long bed in the Tacoma. It's about time you got one in the Tundra. Something else I think is pretty cool is they moved the fog lights from the outside on the lower part of the bumper, and they kind of moved them more center in the grille. I think this is great because it allows you to, if you're going to install an aftermarket bumper, kind of keeps that hardware a little bit more centered, so you can cut out and get a more aggressive approach angle out of the front of the truck. Doing such as like a Viper cut, or whenever you install a steel bumper, you can kind of cut those sides out and not have to worry about too much wiring getting involved. Obviously the parking sensors are there, but a lot of these aftermarket companies are offering reroutes for your parking sensors to keep those still fully operational. Now let's move on into the interior and kind of take a look at some of the things that I like and dislike over there. Something I've noticed with the interior of this truck, since I've had it for about a month now, like I was saying, is I'm noticing that the kind of this fake leather that they have is starting to already wrinkle in some weird spots, which I think may turn into tears eventually. Being that this seat does kind of have an open perforated design, it's going to be a little bit harder to condition it, and I think it's going to kind of introduce some more tears over here where the wrinkling is happening. As well as with the hybrid, I knew this well before I picked this truck, but with the hybrid you do lose a ton of interior storage space. The rear seat in a lot of these trucks nowadays do have the option to fold up, and you have a lot of under seat storage as well as some rear seat storage, but with the hybrid, again, that entire lower portion gets completely filled with the hybrid battery system, and kind of leaves you with not a lot of places to put any sort of equipment that you might want to store, such as like fix-a-flat or an air compressor, or maybe just some basic medical gear, or any sort of rescue stuff for when you're off-roading, such as like a portable shovel or anything like that. So it's going to kind of leave you to finding new places to put these things and taking up more storage space in the bed. However, those are some minuscule things that I can easily get used to and kind of work with and deal with. Because overall, I think this is the best interior on the market right now for trucks. It may not be the most advanced, but it certainly feels very minimalistic, and while being very ergonomic at the same time, and still offering a lot more features than I'm used to out of my Tacoma. With the interior, I am a big fan of the seat design. I think while it is perforated, it does offer having cooled seats as well as heated seats, but it's also kind of a cool, unique design, kind of moving in the right direction, sort of a more luxurious truck. Entire dash and steering wheel and center console has completely been redesigned. Now we have a digital dash if you get the hybrid, or if you opt for it. Really nice digital dash display, which allows a little bit of customization, and you can have a boost gauge, and you have a lot more temperature gauges that you can watch if you're towing or if you're off-roading, kind of putting the truck through its paces, as well as you get a heated steering wheel here within the Limited. Nice round steering wheel with a lot of basic features here with the media system as well as the cruise control. With that, moving over to our center console space, we have a nice huge center console here. A lot of opportunity for storage. They kind of created a little bit more of a unique design rather than just having a flat open thing where stuff just flies around. They created some multiple levels here so you can organize some things somewhat. Tray which opens, allows you to grab quick access to anything in there. Nice spot for your phone to rest. If it's plugged in, they did create a little bit of a cutout for that cable so it doesn't get all bent weirdly. As well as a nice shift knob here. It says TRD on it if you get that off-road package, and some nice gloss black trim, nice sporty appearance. I like how they changed, from my Tacoma, they changed the crawl control knob. You have different drive modes. You have eco, normal, and sport. You have a tow haul mode, and then you have your multi-terrain and crawl control settings down here that you can push if you're in 4 low. And this kind of new design for switching out of 2 high and 4 high into 4 low it's pretty cool. Allows you to just push it down, and kind of takes up less space, and having a new little push button is pretty cool as well. Over here in the media system, I really like this new 14-inch display. You can get it in the SR5s, and it comes in the limited standard, and you can get it so forth on the higher trim levels as well. Great touchscreen, super fast Apple CarPlay. I'm actually really surprised with this. This has been the nicest that I've had in the Audis that I've had, and the other Toyotas and Subarus as well. I think this has been the best so far. With that, moving kind of down a little bit, your air controls for climate controls is really simple to use, really nice. One thing I did notice is the air conditioning. You have to turn it on every time you have this in auto mode. It doesn't just automatically go into turn the AC on. It kind of leaves it off, so that's something kind of annoying you have to push every time you get in the truck and you want the air conditioning on. Again, heated and cooled seats, big fan of those for any of the different climates you may be in. I did opt for the JBL sound system. Definitely not the best sound system I've heard out of a factory vehicle, but it's definitely mid-tier, and I think for someone who's doesn't listen to their music super loud all the time, this is going to suit you just fine. Not too expensive of an upgrade, but I think it's going to be fine for me. This truck also, I got the trailer brake option. I don't tow too much. I do plan on towing sometime in the future, taking my BMW to the track, and kind of having that option is nice to have as well. Now moving to the rear of the truck, this was kind of a big deal for me. Rear seat storage is something that I really was looking for when I was getting rid of my Tacoma, and having a truck that had a lot more rear seat storage was kind of what I wanted. So with that, I'm 5'10", and I have plenty of leg room ahead of me, and plenty of headroom as well. This is something that I did not have in the Tacoma at all, and trying to throw any of my gear for work in the back seat made it super challenging, and now having the ability to have a lot more space back here is going to take up less bed storage for when I'm camping, or have a couple people going with me on a snowboard trip or whatnot. With that, some of the higher options do allow for heated seats in the rear. This truck does not, but I do have a USB plug-in down here, as well as another USB-C. One thing I'm a little bit upset I didn't get would be I think it's the limited power pack, which allows you to have a typical wall outlet in the back seat, as well as one in the bed. I think that's something that I kind of used a lot for when I'm camping. I do have a plug-in fridge for when I'm out there for a couple days, and I don't want to have to continuously buy ice or have the ice melt. So that's something that I'm going to have to adjust and get used to. But we do have some nice cubby space behind the seats, and these seats are extremely comfortable. I sat back here for a couple hours when we were driving the truck, and the seat angle is great, very comfortable overall. Not super hard seats. You do have a pretty, and here's kind of where you can see what I was talking about earlier, is the lack of under seat space. This is normally completely open all the way underneath, where you can have any of your stuff that you want to store under here for permanent use. We do have a little bit of storage here behind the seat, but if you opt for the JBL sound system, your sub is on one of the sides, and now you only have a little bit of storage behind the other 2 seats. Now let's talk about some of the engine and powertrain issues and some things that I was really liking with it. I did again opt for the hybrid, which this is going to be a little bit more expensive. I believe it was $2,000 more than the standard V6 twin turbo that's offered in the Tundras as the base engine. This truck does have 437 horsepower and 583 foot-pounds of torque, which is outstanding for a half-ton truck. I think it's kind of up there in that market, and something that's very unique that not a lot of trucks are offering is that twin turbo with the hybrid. I think moving towards this powertrain option is awesome because it allows you to have super low end torque like a diesel would have, but also give you that optimal high end torque with the twin turbo V6, allowing for a very awesome power curve. Now with that, this engine is mated to a 10-speed transmission, which is a huge improvement from the previous generation where there were a lot of issues with that transmission. So far I haven't noticed any problems with the transmission. I think it's great. It's always in the proper power band, especially with that electric assist that this motor does provide. Now, moving into the MPG category, I wish I could say it's better, just because I say hybrid all the time and people instantly go, oh, you must get great gas mileage. Well, tough news. There's really no change in gas mileage. I will say it is definitely better in some commute kind of characteristics where you're a little bit stop and go on the freeway, you're continuously moving, but you're on and off the gas. That electric motor does take over and kind of help you boost that MPG if you're on the freeway or cruising around town. However, I do notice roughly 15 to 16 miles per gallon in town, and I will get roughly 18 to 19 on the freeway. Now, a lot of people tell me, oh, your truck hasn't broken in yet, your MPG may improve, but again, I have yet to see it, but I do have only 1,000 miles. So we will see in the future how this truck does. With that, I'm not upset about it. I think coming from the Tacoma that I was in, which was lifted, it had 33s and some all-terrain tires that were a little heavy. This truck gets the same miles per gallon that truck did, and I'm getting way more truck out of it. So I'm not super upset about it. I'm just happy that this truck does have a lot more capability for towing, for more capacity in the bed, as well as more interior space and a much more comfortable truck overall. With that, I did lose a lot of the off-road characteristics of my Tacoma. This is a much larger wheelbase, as you could tell kind of in the beginning of this video, comparing it to Alex's truck. This thing is pretty monstrous, and we will definitely see that here in the future on the trails. Other than that, this truck cruises absolutely fantastic on the freeway. It maintains 75 to 80 miles an hour on those long drives super well, and you hardly hear anything in the cab. With that, cruising around town under some mild acceleration, there is a fake engine noise that gets put in there, sort of like it sounds like a V8. It sounds cool, and I do think it's a little bit unique, but it's definitely not what this engine should sound like. You can definitely hear in the exhaust when you're driving. It kind of is much different than the cabin noise that's being made, so a little conflicting noises. Other than that, those are kind of some of the downsides and some of the cool things that I like about this truck, and I'm very stoked with it and glad I found the one that I did. It was definitely challenging. It took me a few months, but there's a lot planned for this truck. I do have a lot of ambition to take this thing off-roading, camping, and towing, and really putting it through its paces over the next couple years. I did already order some modifications for this truck, and we'll be featuring those in future videos to come. So stick around for those, because I think you'll like them. And if you guys aren't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more content with the Tundra, and go ahead and check out my Instagram where I kind of post some stuff ahead of time, and love to get your guys' feedback on modifications that I do. With that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.